Welcome to part 2 of Still I Rise. So we just finished reading stanzas 1, 2, and 3, and now we're on stanza 4. So here it says, do you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Now here it says, do you want to see me broken? So the word broken, when it comes to a person, it can mean two things. It can mean either physically broken or it can mean spiritually broken. But either way, that means that the speaker is going through a lot of pain and agony. Because in order for them to be broken, it means that it's going to be a lot of pain. Now, in this case, they're also questioning the influence of the audience because it says, "Do you want to see me broken?" Like you're accusing the audience still. So I'm going to put that they are questioning the influence of the audience. Obviously, the audience has some sort of negative influence on our speaker here. And so it says bowed head and lowered eyes, almost as if it's like a servant. So, like a servant. Because a servant would have their head bowed and lowered eyes with their master. And then it says, shoulders falling down like teardrops. Again, we're seeing, like teardrops, we're seeing a simile. She tends to use a lot of those. And weakened by my soulful cries. So we're seeing teardrops and cries. We're seeing a lot of images of sadness and brokenness. So images of sadness and brokenness. Now, at the beginning, again, she said, did you want to see me broken? And I want to ask myself, why does the speaker think that they want to see her broken? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to write that over here. I'm going to circle this question. And I'm going to ask, why does the speaker think the audience wants to see her broken? And I'll leave myself some space for an answer. Now it says, does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. So haughtiness, we said, was her pride. So does my pride offend you? So in this case, apparently pride is a bad thing for the audience, for her to have. So pride is a bad emotion, according to the audience. So pride is a bad emotion according to the audience. And it says, don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laughed like I got gold mines. So I'm seeing the simile again. And we're seeing gold mines is another sign of wealth. So we saw the oil wells before, and now we have the gold mines here. So we have another simile that leads to wealth. And it says digging in my own backyard. So now we're seeing that obviously she's gaining this wealth or this power as time goes on. It says, you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise. Okay, so here I see a lot of personification. So it says, shoot me with your words, cut me with your eyes, kill me with your hatefulness. All of this right here, this is personification. Remember, personification is when you give human-like characteristics to something that's not human. And so we're seeing this personification, and then it says, but still like air, I'll rise. So I see that I'll rise again. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. And she's comparing herself, which means this is a simile because she's comparing herself using like her as. Um, and if you think about air, air is everywhere. So right here, she is an unstoppable force. So I'm going to write that here, that she is an unstoppable force. And, and she's going to rise no matter what, right? Then it goes on and it says, does my sexiness upset you? Now, this is kind of how I figure that the speaker is female, because we're seeing some sort of her reference to her female sexuality. So, referring to female sexuality. Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meetings of my thighs? So here we see like I've got diamonds, so we're seeing a simile again, but in this case we see diamonds, which means even more wealth or power. So as time is passing, she has even more wealth and power. And so we're seeing that these images of wealth represent her value almost as a human being. And that she would be given the same respect as these objects. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write that on the margin over here. So I'm going to put a little box. Let's separate it. So images of wealth represent her value as a human being. She should be given the same respect as these objects. So she should be given the same respect as these objects, which insinuates that she's currently not being given this respect, right? And so, she has an abundance of wealth and power that cannot be taken away. That's what this whole stanza is talking about. So, she's talking about diamonds, oil wells, gold mines. So the speaker has an abundance of wealth and power that cannot be taken away. And so we're seeing this here, that she clearly has, over time, felt that she has received this power and that she is no longer in the brokenness or the unfortunate circumstances that she once was. Now here it says, out of the huts of history, shame. If I were to think of huts, I'm thinking like slavery. So this is an allusion to slavery or poverty, because an allusion is when you reference something. So allusion to slavery / poverty. So clearly she was once either a slave or maybe her ancestors were slaves. She says, I rise. So I'm seeing this. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight all of them since there's many of them. And it says, up from a past that's rooted in pain. So we're seeing a very painful past. So painful past. I rise, I'm a black ocean. So here we see she's referring to herself as an ocean. This is a metaphor. So I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling. I bear the tide. So she is withstanding any obstacles. That's what this is saying here. So she can withstand any obstacles throughout time. Because remember, tide is like time in this instance, just like before. Okay, so now notice with Black Ocean, the ocean is a powerful force. This metaphor right here is referring to both her skin color and her power. So refers to her color slash power. So this right here where it says I'm a black ocean. Now it says um, I bear the tide. So bear in this case can mean two things. Bear meaning she can hold on to as well. So it's almost like she is giving birth or she is raising up the next generation. So I'm going to put that here. So raising the next generation. It says, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. So this is another allusion to slavery. And even brutal racism, I would say. And then it says, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. Okay, so now I've seen a shift. And so this is really important when it comes to any sort of poetry. When you see a shift, notice she was very negative in her imagery, and now suddenly it says into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. So now we're seeing a metaphor of hope. Okay? Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. So she is free. That was the hope of the slave. She's free and she's got wealth and she's powerful. And so now in part 3, we're going to try to identify the theme, any other symbolism, and we're going to obviously answer all of our questions.